forgot.
Peanut butter.
You forgot. So we're gonna have water.
Okay. I love water.
You're good. I know, that's funny.
It's working.
Keep it late, when we
Yeah.
say too much, cut away.
Yeah, yeah, income says, okay.
Oh, man. That's scandal.
We are live.
Isn't it scandalous?
Yes.
I know. That's right. I'm gonna say my jeans might be a little too tall for the folks. Showing some ankle. I know, boo.
Watch your pearls.
We are ready to go in 20 seconds when this clock turns over.
Amazing. Okay, I now will call to order the December 19th, 2024 meeting of the Salem Historic Landmarks Commission in our special location of Deepwood. So thank you everybody for coming. Could we please have the recorder take roll call?
Commissioner Kerdeman,
Here.
Commissioner Inman,
Present.
Commissioner Kaiser,
Here.
Commissioner McGlinchey-Dimler,
Present.
Commissioner Morris,
Here.
Commissioner Strauss,
Here.
Commissioner Strong,
Here.
Commissioner Weathers,
I'm here.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Here.
We have quorum.
Amazing, thank you. Is there anybody here who would like to give public comment on anything that's not on the agenda? I don't see anybody. Okay, great. Then we can move on to the approval of the minutes. Can I please have a motion for the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Are there any corrections anybody would like to know? All right, perfect. Then I think we'll go ahead and call a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, minutes passed. That moves us on to the next item, which is an action item for the Historic Features Restoration Grant. Is there a staff presentation or?
Me?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Okay. As you all know, because all of you did it, you all filled out a pre-scoring form. And that doesn't lock you into any specific choices, but I did the math of averaging all the scores and whatnot. So we did have 3 applications that went through. You saw one of them as a Class 3 historic design review. The other 2 were administratively approved under Class 2. So all these have gone through design review, and now it's just to decide if and how much money they would get through the Missing Historic Features Grant.
Okay.
The first one was for the Elsinore property. I'm not going to go through the whole rundown, but it got an average score of 97.25 out of 100, so very high. All of them got at least 90 out of 100, so they're all eligible. The second one was the Darcy building, which got 90.125. And then the final one was the Moore building, and that got 91.625. So there was within the small range of how many points it was different. It's about 7-point difference from the lowest to the highest. So they're all eligible to receive funding. The first staff recommendation that was included was to just split the funding evenly. We have $200,000 that's available. No one grant can get more than 100,000, which would get each recipient getting $66.666 thousand. With one person would have to get 1 cent more than everyone else to give out all the funding, or we would leave 1 cent unclaimed. In our agenda meeting, Kristen had asked about some other alternative math. So I've done a little bit of math for everyone. I also did if we granted it proportional to how much the project costs, because some of the projects are more expensive than other projects. And if you wanted to dole it out evenly proportional to the cost of the project, that would leave the Elsinore getting $92,000 out of their $150,000 what it costs. The Darcy building would get $58,000 out of the $94,000 that it costs, and the Moore building would get $50,000 out of the $80,000 that it costs. I also did it proportional to the score, if you want to do it just based on how much they got for the score, which would have been 70, 64, and 66. And if you wanted to do it proportional to the cost and the score, it would be 81, 61, 58. So you can decide how you want to split it up, but that's all the math that I'm willing to do for you. So if you want to do it some other way, you're going to have to do your own math.
Okay.
And yes.
Commissioner Weathers?
As an applicant, before y'all talk anymore, I'm gonna go stand over there.
Perfect, thank you.
I just wanted to be on camera.
Okay, great. Anything else?
That if you have any questions for me, I will try to answer them, but I just did math, so.
Okay.
I had one quick question, just to confirm, the Elsinore is a nonprofit corporation, correct? And the other two are privately held?
I believe so,
Okay,
yes.
so at least theoretically, the Elsinore does have access to other potential donors who will be able to help them potentially. I mean, we don't actually know the situation of all these.
As far as I know.
Yeah, and all of them did have to provide proof of funding if we didn't
Yes.
give them money, so. I believe that the Elsinores included private gifts that they were expecting, but I do not recall.
Okay, perfect. Are there any suggestions that we want to make? Like talk about it for a little bit and then make a motion? I feel like I'm in favor of doing, I suppose maybe a proportional based on the cost of the project, but I could be swayed if somebody has a better suggestion, so. Yeah.
Yes, I agree because, for example, the Elsinore project is very significant. It was a class 3 review and it's just a bigger project. And I think that compared to the others, it would be the best use of the grant funds to do this proportion.
Commissioner Kerman?
I also like I'm in favor of that as well, and I also like how it's perceived from the public. It's not that we're granting money based on our scores, we're granting money based on the project. So it's essentially like all 3 applicants won, whatever, and then that's divided up based on their project cost, not how their application was or how we felt about it. So I kind of like that a little bit better. It's more fair, I feel like, in supporting all 3 of these projects.
Go
I
ahead.
also agree. I think in reviewing the 3, the Elsinore also has a much more substantial impact on the public and has a much more substantial kind of historic presence in the Salem community. So doing it proportional to the cost of the project seems very reasonable to me.
Any more comments from any of the commissioners?
I agree with all of that. My other thought is if Elsinore, that blade sign restoration, that's gonna be a great story for us to tell, plus them to say, and the city of Salem helped us with this. They have a lot of people coming and all of that, so it'd be good for us as well.
And it's an encouragement, right?
It
Like
is.
it's a very
It is.
visual encouragement to other people to apply.
And to restore.
And to restore.
lost
Yeah.
features.
Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, and I think having the Elsinore restored is gonna be, a real win for everybody. But I also realized how hard it is to get downtown projects funded and get those businesses to survive once they're there, so I think that it's, I feel like we also have a real burden to try to support this. And I liked the proposals I thought.
Do you feel like the proportional funding, proportional to the cost of the project supports the other 2 as well?
It's pretty similar.
It's not too much different.
I don't like the idea of dividing it equally.
Yeah, I agree that felt a little bit uneven, so I think the proportional is good.
We definitely wanna use all of our money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
To the last penny.
and the 2 on Port Street, I mean, that block is just so sad.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the restored cornice and the I suppose my one, sort of comment on the applications in general was that, the awning didn't really feel like a restoration of like a building feature necessarily. It was just kind of restoration of the awning, but I do think, that will, contribute to the historic look of the building more than the awning that's there now. So that was my only one thought on sort of the, maybe funding based on our scores or something like that, but I'm not, tied to that idea necessarily, so.
I agree with everybody else.
If there are any other like comments or discussion, then I think we could probably have a motion.
I move that we're recommending the grant funding. Right, we're not granting it, we're just making our recommendation.
Let's see, what is the language?
They're deciding.
You are deciding.
Oh, we are
deciding.
We're deciding, okay.
We're giving the money.
Okay, then
Want to.
I move that the commission grant proportionately according to the value of the projects to the three qualified submissions as described in our option 2. Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Inman and a second by Commissioner McGlinty Timbrook to fund the projects proportional to the cost of the project. To your motion. Yeah.
No more discussion.
Okay, yeah, I feel like we've all kind of discussed opinions, we think this is probably the fairest way to distribute the funds, and is,
Everybody's a winner.
So just to be clear for the audience, I guess, that would mean that we would assign a higher grant award to the higher cost project. So they would get the most, the next highest cost would get the second next most, and so on.
yes.
And I have the exact amounts for that, if you want me to repeat those.
Why don't you just for the
Sure.
record?
So if it's proportional to the amounts, the Elsinore would get 92,000 of the $150 or $150,000 that it would cost. The Darcy building would get 58,000 of the $94,000 that project would cost. And the Moore building would get $50,000 of the $80,000 that would cost.
Great. Are there any other comments before we take a vote? All right, then all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. We will grant according to the proportional cost of the project. Great. Okay, that is the only action item, and there are no discussion items unless somebody would like to bring something up for discussion. Okay, perfect. And Commissioner Weathers is back. If there are no discussion items, then we can move on to the Historic Preservation Officer report.
Join us, do you want to sit right there?
No, I really don't. I just want to acknowledge again Andy Zimmerman's service and also Jennifer's, who, if those of you don't know, she's decided she needs to resign. So this is her last meeting as well. So we're very grateful for both of you and all of your service. So I don't know, Jennifer, if you want to take a minute. I know Andy, you spoke a bit last time about your experience.
It was
How many
really-
years?
Well, it was kind of funny because I was looking at one of my Facebook memories and I think yesterday, and I think it said that 4 years ago, I had just termed out for my first term. So,
Wow,
so
yeah.
it's my, it's the end of my second ride
Yeah.
and, it's been great. I've had it's fun. I mean, Chris is back on, you see like the little cycle of
Yeah.
life in the HLC.
That's right. That's
This is your second, right?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
see, so.
Yeah.
But no, it's
well,
been great and I really enjoyed every single minute of it. I'm still around to be a stakeholder or volunteer at something.
Yeah, we'll reach out.
So-
Don't worry.
Perfect. We love to hear it.
Yeah. And Andy, I was gonna talk to you later about whether you have time to do another radio show before Christmas.
Oh, sure.
Aren't I funny?
Great.
Yeah, I could do one of those.
Thank you. We'll talk. And then the only other thing for January, I believe we're gonna have maybe one hearing, and we are gonna be talking about our work plan. And I know that for the last, how long, 6 months, it's been kind of a challenge to do all the items on the work plan in your committee, so just be ready to kind of talk about how that's working, how that's not working, what you want to do. Because we do have our adopted preservation plan and a lot of goals, so we want to make sure that they're actually achievable in the upcoming year. So there's a lot of things that we can potentially do, and we are eligible already to apply for our next certified local government grant. So wanting to talk about some ideas for that. So other than that, I hope everyone has a good holiday.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, then that is a nice short meeting. If there's anything anybody else wants to bring up. All right, then I'll go ahead and adjourn the December 19th, 2024 meeting of the Salem Historical Landmarks